by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon, as it is a lovely Tuesday, and happy Tuesday to everybody out there. I will say, fellas, it's a little warm. I was hoping for fall weather. We should be having fall weather, but it's hard for me to get into the real football season mood when it's like 85 degrees in late October. I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling football-y today.
Yeah, it can't really figure out what it wants to do weather-wise. The only thing we know for sure is that it's just never going to rain again in Fayetteville. I just realized it's been like 6 weeks since we had a drop of rain at all. It's kind of crazy.
The crops need it, boys. I can't help but notice you guys don't have an I voted sticker on. Did y'all just leave it at home, or have you not done your part to uphold democracy?
Listen to the young guy acting like he knows what he's talking about from a political voting standpoint.
The politics guy over here, Andrew Ellis.
The election's in 2 weeks.
Yeah. We do have some time, but I mean, how do you know? I'm just not one of those people that's all look at me. You know, I'm not about that. Just saying, hey, look at me, I voted. Even though I post on social media pretty much every day.
Who are you voting for, John?
You know, I'm voting for Dukakis. That's who I'm voting for. If you don't, you probably no one will understand that. That's the guy who lost to H.W. Bush back in 1988. It doesn't matter. We'll have plenty of time to talk about election stuff later when we do, Inside Arkansas Politics.
That's tomorrow. Tomorrow's stream we're doing that.
Yeah. We're just going to open up and just be like, all right, Trump or Kamala Harris, go, and just see how the phone lines line up.
One more football loss. It's gonna get bleak, man. Yeah,
we may have to start turning the page if that's the case.
Oh, buddy, natty state politics would have 100% been a thing under the past regime.
Oh, oh yeah, and I'm sure it would have been pretty heated too, and pretty stupid as well. But that's okay. But yeah, don't worry, folks. We're not going to talk politics today, although we could get to that point. But we are going to talk about some of the things, of course, going on in Razorback land. We'll get to see your chats, of course, as well as your phone calls if you want to dial in and call in. It's 478-344-6623 is that number. We're going to, of course, get into that. We'll have some buy or sell, sponsored by BetSaracen later. We'll talk about some of the statistics. We'll look at some SEC and also some interesting stats out there as well. But it's time to turn the page, to Mississippi State and the great team that they are going to be facing off against for the Razorbacks to try to bounce back. I was going to say, though, guys, BetSaracen has Arkansas right now at this current state as a 7-point favorite on the road against Mississippi State. How are we feeling about that line right there?
It's hard for me to feel great about it with an Arkansas team that can't score on anyone, but Mississippi State's really bad. If you can't score on them, you can't score on anybody. So sure. How rare is it for Arkansas to be a road SEC favorite? I don't know if I remember the last time that happened.
Yeah, no, that's unique. It would have to maybe be that Brian Harsin Auburn game would be the only one I could think of. And even then, I don't think it was 7. Like that's an interesting one. I do think it's down a little bit. I want to say the line opened at around 8.5.
Really?
So there's been a little bit of buzz for the Bulldogs, who are like the best, most hyped up 1-5 team of all time.
Okay.
But I mean, it's going to be chaotic. It's going to be SEC football, and I imagine the eyes of the country will not be on it.
Well, you guys played right into my hand here because that's what I was setting it up to give you the little stats. And this is, of course, according to oddshark.com, who does a lot of stuff with previous lines and everything. The last time that the Arkansas Razorback football team was favored on the road against an SEC opponent was in 2022 against the mighty Missouri Tigers, where they were 3.5-point favorites.
Wow.
Okay. All right.
Did not cover, I will add.
They did not. And so I'm glad you brought that one up, Andrew, because I'm going to give a shout out to P. Steves and Devin because they're autistic nerds or whatever for this stat, because they went and did all the research instead of building roads and designing roadways like they should be. But how about this? Can you guys name the last time the Arkansas Razorback football team was favored by a touchdown or more on the road in SEC play and covered?
Ooh. Oh, buddy.
I'm just going to be honest. You guys aren't going to get it because I didn't get it.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
What was your guess, Andrew?
Guess.
I was saying, well, you're saying by a touchdown?
Yeah, by 7 points or more that they covered.
2016 Mississippi State.
No. In fact, according to this, they weren't even favored against Mississippi State on the road that year in 2016.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Was it before or after that? Because I want to get it before you tell me. Before that. Was it like very far before that?
Pretty good ways.
Darn, man.
That's what I'm saying.
They favored by a touchdown on the road and covered. Was Darren McFadden on campus?
No.
So we're talking about pre-DMAC era?
Uh-huh.
Oh God. Well, dude, I don't know. I mean, we're getting into like my toddler years. I don't know if I can go back that far.
Well, I'll just go ahead and throw it out there for everybody. South Carolina in 1998 was the last time that the Razorbacks were favored on the road in SEC play by a touchdown or more and actually covered.
I wish I had that stat before we put out Peyton's story about being a rare road favorite in an SEC game. We're going to add that in. That's good stuff, John.
Yeah. Hey, give a shout out to the engineers. Don't have better things to do than
nice
go and look at yeah. So that was because they were telling me about that. I was like, wow, that's incredible. Because I was also looking at, just going way back when, and there were times like I thought about maybe 2006 Mississippi State when Arkansas was number 5 in the country going on the road, Darren McFadden's year. Arkansas won 28-14. They won by 14, but they were 15-point favorites in that. So they did not cover. So, I mean, it's really incredible, and it was a really interesting thing to kind of go back and look at it. But it really gives you an idea of just the rarity, as you said, Curtis, of Arkansas being favored, but also Arkansas actually covering said spread on the road in the SEC, which after hearing that and after looking more into it, I'm like, I don't know if I'm taking the Razorbacks -7 in this one if it's been that long.
You just changed my mind for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if I was going to take Arkansas -7 either way. I do think Arkansas should win this game. They should be favored. Like I don't have any disagreements with it. But I maybe I'm crazy. I'm buying the hype a little bit. I don't think Mississippi State is that bad, And I mean, Mississippi State's been covering like ain't nobody's business here lately. Because they're like a 21. I mean, I think they were 34-point favorites against Georgia, lose by 10. They were 21-point underdogs against A&M too. They covered that game as well. So maybe Missouri's due to just kind of roll over and quit one of these days. But is Arkansas going to be the team to make them do it?
I don't know. See, that's where I'm like, I look at the numbers and the stats, which I know we'll talk about and get in specifics. Like seeing Mississippi State in their defense. I mean, you're talking about scoring defense, rush defense, and pass defense. They are dead last in the SEC in all 3 categories, as well as in the hundreds in all 3 categories in the country, which, if I'm not mistaken, the pass defense is 130th in the country. So, I mean, you're talking about a defense, statistically speaking, that cannot stop anybody, which this just in. But Arkansas's offense has kind of been the problem here as of lately in SEC play of finding ways to put the ball in the end zone and get points. Defense has done a good enough job. So this is where I'm teeing it up of like, okay, if Arkansas's offense, which I know they're banged up, which Quentin Jackson doesn't look like he's going to play, understand that. Taylor Green, he's been hobbling a little bit, but whatever, it doesn't matter. If Arkansas cannot score and have an offensive performance that at least is their best to date in SEC play, then I'm going to be honest, I'm going to have some serious questions and concerns about Bobby Petrino. I'm going to be honest about it. Like, I'm going to be concerned if they cannot go in there in Mississippi State and if they can muster only 14 points or 17 points, like, I'm going to be like, okay, maybe this isn't it. Because if you can't do it against Mississippi State, I'm not asking you to go out and score 50. But if you can't put together your best offensive performance in SEC play against the worst defense in the SEC, then who are you going to do it against? I'm going to be mainly concerned about that.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a major red flag if that were the case. And it's true about Mississippi State's defense. Like, they legitimately either give up points or they come up with a takeaway. And that's the biggest thing here. Like, if Arkansas, goes down there and maybe they're, not as efficient as you want them to be or whatever, if they don't turn over the ball, I feel like they'll score enough points to win the football game. But they go down there and put it on the freaking turf, or, Talon throws a bad ball or whatever. All of a sudden you have 2 or 3 turnovers. This could get dicey, man, because here's what I will say about Mississippi State is their offense has actually gotten better since their starting quarterback got hurt for the season, which is weird, but the true freshman's pretty solid. If you can score 31 on Georgia, then I respect Arkansas's defense and Travis Williams, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that you just shut those guys down, especially given the way they throw it around, which might be, the vulnerability for the Arkansas defense. But I don't know, like, what if we had to sit an over under, we might do this at some point in the week on like how many points Arkansas needs to score to win this game. I think it's going to be more than the 17.5 that they average in SEC play, right? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, when you think about what this Arkansas offense has done this year, I think those first 2 to 3 weeks when they were like top 5 in the country in yards and they were averaging, 600 yards per game, I think we knew they're not that good, obviously. Now, I don't think they're also as bad as they've looked here these last few weeks. And so I feel like this test against Mississippi State is a nice middle ground where maybe they'll find what they actually are, because I agree, like, they're clearly not as good as they were early on, but but when I look at this matchup, we always talk about the turnover battle, and we're like, hey, Arkansas's got to take care of the football. They got to win the turnover battle. That'll give them a chance to win, which, like, we're not breaking news when we do that. But when you mention a freshman quarterback who I believe has only thrown 2 interceptions, I feel like, yeah, this has got to be in. And as you mentioned, Curtis, Mississippi State's defense, it's kind of turnover or bust. This definitely has to be a matchup where if you're trying to talk yourself into Arkansas, which that's what we do for a living. I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, hey, Arkansas with a veteran quarterback who does turn the ball over a good bit, but they should be better equipped to handle this shootout, especially with Bobby Petrino dialing up the plays against the worst defense in the entire country, against a freshman quarterback. You would think they would be able to maybe make some of those plays. This defense is also extremely due for a turnover. What we talked about it last week, their last one was the Auburn game. So, there's a lot of things where it's like you feel like the course has to correct at some point. And I agree, Curtis, if it doesn't correct here, it gets ugly real quick.
Yeah, it's one of those things to where regardless of who's healthy and who's not, we'll talk about Patrick Kudus if he's going to play or whatever. And then, of course, Jacona Jackson and, some of the other guys that are around there. But it's one of those things to where at some point in time, this honestly has been my biggest criticism of Sam Pittman since he's been at Arkansas. At some point in time, when you are the better team, there's no about, oh, well, it's tough and everything. No. When you're the better team, you go out and show that you're the better team. And it feels like Arkansas never does that. And they haven't done it in quite some time. That's not a disrespect to Mississippi State. All right. It's just that Arkansas, on paper, is a better team than Mississippi State on paper. This isn't something preseason, oh, we're just guessing. No, we've seen the results. It's not saying Mississippi State's a bad team at all. But if you're Arkansas, you should go in and you should take care of business. There shouldn't be any issues where 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, you're hoping and praying that the Mississippi State player misses his field goal. Like, that should never be the case against this team. And, we talked about how long it's been since I feel like we were on a Remember Wednesday, but like, can you remember the last time that you've seen Arkansas go up against an SEC opponent and take care of business the way they should? And it just hasn't really gone that way. And then the teams that you feel like you don't have a chance against, you play really well, whether you're playing up or down to the competition. That's what is my biggest fear about going into this Mississippi State game, is that you have it all for you. You should be a team that can be dominant and can score points and can be a really good offensive team against them. But for whatever reason, I just have this feeling you're going to not go out there and take care of business. It's going to be a struggle. You're going to make bad decisions, make bad plays, and Mississippi State's going to be in this game at the very end with a chance to win. That's how I fear this is going to go for the Razorbacks.
Yeah, you didn't want to say it, John, and I respect that. I'll say it. Mississippi State's a bad team. They are, and that's okay. But it's a different territory for Arkansas. It's a different type of vibe and different type of approach. Not only are you favored in this game, but all the pressure is on you. For Mississippi State, this is not your typical 1-6 team where like the wheels have fallen off and they've kind of quit and everybody's looking for the season to end and getting the transfer portal or fire the coach or whatever. Like those, for at least the way I understand it. And then also in talking to some Mississippi State guys when we were at SEC Media Day last week, they're all very, I think, bought into the process of improving and building and getting this thing where they want it to be, with the understanding that they're about to get just an absolute freaking boatload of NIL for portal season to work with. And so they're thinking about, improving the guys that they have and supplementing off that. My point is, though, with Arkansas having the pressure on them and with Mississippi State just kind of playing with house money, probably seeing this as their best opportunity or one of their best opportunities to get another win this season, it puts you in a difficult spot. And so we always talk about the importance of, getting off to fast starts or whatever. I think it's critical for Arkansas in this game, because the worst thing that could happen is you go there on this dreary morning in Starkville, the cowbells are going crazy, and then you turn it over and give up a touchdown, and all of a sudden you're down 7-0 out of the gates, and those guys start believing, and you start going in the back of your mind, shoot, what if we screw this up? Like, what if we're that team? Because Arkansas has been that team in the past. So it's, ooh, buddy, I got my eyes on that first quarter for sure.
When you think about motivation and really desperation in some cases, and which team is the more motivated one, Arkansas should be the more motivated team for a lot of those reasons you just laid out. It's not like this is a high stakes season for Mississippi State. They're kind of content with having a bad record and going into next offseason with year 2 of Jeff Lebby and kind of building from there, knowing that the change is coming later. There's no real pressure on this season. So you'd think that Arkansas would be the hungrier team, so to speak, even though they're going to be on the road. But on the same coin, there's more pressure on Arkansas. And I think if you're talking about confidence, Arkansas has a lot to lose here. Sam Pittman could lose his job. Arkansas could lose the entire fan base if they haven't already. There is a lot to lose for Arkansas in this matchup, and there's really nothing to lose for Mississippi State other than a game in front of their home fans, which nobody wants to do. But I do wonder if you give Mississippi State that out of like, hey, you're not winning this game, go ahead and just roll over and quit. I wonder if they'll do it. I just also wonder if Arkansas, if this desperation that I'm referencing is going to kind of band them together, and we're going to get like their most inspired, locked in effort, if Arkansas is really truly banding together this week in practice, or if there's like a nervous energy of like, oh crap, we kind of got fraud checked against LSU. Are we really even that good? What if we lose here? Like, we see that Arkansas team a lot of times, and a lot of times at home, play where you can almost tell that they're overthinking it and they're a little bit worried about how the fan base is going to react. And Sam Pittman, frankly, coaches that way sometimes. And so I just wonder what like mentality this Arkansas team is going into this game with. Because if you really look at it from a bird's eye view, you can kind of make the case of Arkansas should be the more motivated team. They're the better team. They have more to play for. They'll come out there and take it to Mississippi State, but it's never that simple, is it?
No. I wish.
No, it never is. And, that's the thing with Arkansas that we talked a little bit about it yesterday, but I started thinking, hey, the 2 games that this team has lost in SEC play were against the 2 teams that are undefeated in the SEC, and LSU and A&M. All right, they had a chance to beat A&M and they didn't, but they got smashed against LSU. You don't like it, you're not happy about it, but I was starting to think like maybe there's something to that, to where, hey, those teams are just better, just flat out better, which I think they are. But also, let's see what Arkansas does when they are going up against an inferior opponent, because let's be honest, Auburn, not a good football team either. It wasn't pretty, but Arkansas won. They won on the road against the Auburn Tigers. And if I'm not mistaken, it was actually still when Auburn felt like, the fans at least felt like there was still something to fight for and still playing fairly well. So the atmosphere was there. And if Arkansas goes out and they take care of business against Mississippi State, I don't think it's going to be a huge turn of the page or the turn of the tide again, where everyone's back on like, oh, okay, so here we go. Now we're rolling. Now we're getting after it. But it's like, okay, you go out and you beat Mississippi State on the road like you should. Then you look back and think, okay, well maybe those teams are just better, but we still got a good team. Maybe Sam Pittman's right. We got a good team. He likes his team. They're a good team. And then you got some other opportunities in front of you with Ole Miss coming to town the next week in Fayetteville. So that's the important thing for me, is just like, this game, win or lose, it's pretty crucial, because I think if you lose, it's all over. It's curtains for everybody. But if you win, then it still gives you an idea of like, hey, is it going to be the college football playoff season like some people may have been thinking? No. But it still could be a successful season given the circumstances in the preseason where Razorback fans felt like this team was going to be. Yeah. It puts you in a position. What do you win? 3 SEC wins on the season with 3 more to go? I think most people would sign up for that. Yeah,
I think so. Again, Arkansas absolutely should go and win this game and take care of business and, kind of do what they're supposed to do. My only hesitation about it, it's not looking at the matchup necessarily on paper. I worry about the offense figuring things out, but Mississippi State's really bad defensively. It's more about Arkansas is just weird in this spot. Like they've done well in some games that they can win, but the last time they played a game that they should win, where everybody's like, oh yeah, cool, they got this covered, it was UAB, and they look like crap. So,
yeah. They did look like crap.
I think that's the biggest indictment on where the program is at these days, is that we truly have no idea. I mean, Curtis, I know you picked LSU to win, but like, we were this time last week, we really felt like Arkansas had a chance to beat a top 10 LSU team. Mm-hmm. And now here we are a few days later, and we're like, are we sure they're going to win in Starkville? Like, we really don't know. And look, Arkansas could absolutely go out there and make this look easy. Could win. I mean, 38-14, like that kind of stuff is in play. And if they do it, more credit to them. But I think it speaks to just kind of where things are at, where it's such a roller coaster. You really don't know. You go from playoff to might miss a bowl. Like it's all kind of on the table. And I think that's what's kind of like weirdly fun about this team, but it's also so frustrating for this fan base to try and get behind it, because it's like you never know when you're going to get burned. You're kind of walking on eggshells with this Arkansas football team and where it's at. And so it's like we're back to that point where fans just kind of feel that dread leading into the week, where they're like almost not wanting Saturday to come around because you just don't know what's going to happen. Well,
and also to throw it in, like we get stuck in our own little bubble here, and I know fans especially do, but Arkansas is not the only team that's going through this of unpredictability. Like, look at the rest of the SEC. There's so much stuff that has happened that does not make any sense. Like, Kentucky went from being a team that got smoked by South Carolina as a joke, gives Georgia all they want, go on the road and beat Ole Miss, and then they lose to Vanderbilt and get smoked by Florida. It's like, what? How does that make sense? Same thing with the South Carolina team. Same thing with a team like Alabama, where they go and they beat Georgia at home, but then they lose to Vanderbilt and should have lost South Carolina, and then they lose to Tennessee. Like, I know that it's frustrating because you never want it to happen to your team. But let's be honest, this is happening everywhere. I'm not saying it's right, but there's other teams going through this too, and you're still in a decent enough position. I hate to be this guy, but it's like it could be a lot worse. You could be Auburn. You could be Mississippi State. You could be these 0 for teams where the season's all for naught, and you're just like, oh, geez, this sucks. Let's just get this over with. Where right now, guys, Arkansas, they're sitting at 4-3. They got 2 wins in the SEC. They got 2 losses, but they got 2 wins. And you're playing the worst team in the SEC on the road this weekend, which should lead to a win, which sets you up in your final 3 SEC games, 2 of which being at home against really good teams and the other one being on the road. Like, you can still have a good season. Like, you are still in a position. I know it sucks, and you're mad that you lost to LSU, and you're mad at the way you performed. I was mad, and I'm still mad. But it doesn't mean that the season is sunk and we need to start having, all right, coaching search talk right now. But next week, depending on the outcome of that game in Starkville, it could happen. It absolutely could happen.
I'm trying my best just to avoid all the mental gymnastics of trying to figure out Arkansas football. I mean, the truth is, the only thing this team is consistent at is being inconsistent, and that goes from quarter to quarter, drive to drive, week to week. So they looked horrible they were great against Tennessee, bad against LSU. They could go to lose to Mississippi State and then beat the hell out of Ole Miss. Like, nothing this team would do could possibly do would surprise me, except like go on a run where they lose all these games in a row or win them all in a row, because that would be something consistent. I just don't think they have that word in their vocabulary. Like that page was torn out of their dictionary, and they don't understand what it means. It's just the up and down nature is wild, but that's the sign of just an average middle of the pack team, which is kind of what I thought they were coming into the year. And I think that's what they actually are.
Yeah, it is so funny when John referenced earlier that, like, if you look at it from a big picture standpoint, Arkansas is very much on path to accomplish about what they were supposed to accomplish. They're supposed to be a 6-6, 7-5 team. Curtis projecting 5-7. That's where all the kind of everyone nationally thought this team was, between that 5-7 win mark, and that's kind of where they're going to end up. But it's just so weird how it's gone to the path they took to get here. But really, being average is kind of the worst thing possible. And I mean, I know I talk about, our jobs and what we do a lot, but we always say it going into every season. We're like, the only thing they can't do is just be boring and average. This team's not boring, but they are average, which is the worst case scenario. It's like if if Arkansas goes 3-9, it's everyone's throwing a, mutiny over here, and we're storming the U of A, and everyone's all fired up for that. They're going 9-3. Everyone's fired up to go to the playoff. In between, that's where you get this complete disdain from the fan base.
Yeah, and you also got to throw in where like the Arkansas way would be losing to Mississippi State, but then you beat Ole Miss, and then it's like, what does this mean? Like, what is this? What are we witnessing? But that would absolutely be on the table. Like, just knowing how this goes and knowing how it's been, totally see that happening. And then they beat Texas, but then they still lose to Missouri at the end of the year. It's like, oh, okay. Like, sure. Like, you went out there and the 3 of your 4 SEC wins were against top 10 opponents, but then you lose to Mississippi State and Missouri, and just that's it. Like, I could totally see that happening. So, but again, folks, if you want in on the conversation, we'll get to some of your chats here in a bit. You can also get in on the phone lines at 478-344-6623, which we will get to some of those phone calls. But do want to bring up, of course, our question of the day presented by Alumni Hall here in Fayetteville, as we always appreciate them. It's the best and only place you ever need for all of your Razorback apparel. They have it all for men, women, kids, dogs, pets, cats. They have a decor that's all over there too. And you can also shop them online at alumnihall.com/Arkansas-Razorbacks for all the greatest of apparel. It's the ultimate Razorback shopping experience at Alumni Hall. It's a simple question since we're halfway point now of the SEC slate. 4 games in, you're 2-2. How many more SEC wins do you think Arkansas gets this season? Put it out on Twitter. Guys, which one, you probably looked at it, but which one do you think is the leading the way right now? Of a 0, 1, 2, or 3+?
2.
When I voted, I saw that there were 2 options that were very close to one another. I bet 1 has taken the lead.
Well, Curtis is still right on this because they do have 2 leading the way. At 43% of you say 2 wins, 39% of you say 1 win, 10.6% of you say 3+ wins, and then 0 wins at 7.5%. So,
all right,
whatever.
What do you guys think?
See, I think that they get 2. Personally,
this one in Missouri.
Actually, I think it's this one and Ole Miss. I think they beat the Mississippi schools.
So you think Arkansas is going to win their next 2 games, is what you're saying? They're going to be going into that bye week buzzing at 6-3?
That's what I'm hoping for, at least. And yes, that's also what I think, too. Best case.
We had this conversation. You go ahead, Curtis. You go first. I'll be the finale.
I'll be that guy. It's whatever. I think they get 1. I think they win this week. I think they beat Louisiana Tech. Now, I think Missouri's very much on the table, but you've never beat them there. So I can't predict it.
No.
So, it's funny. Last week we had a similar conversation, which is what do we think Arkansas's final record is going to be? And I pretty much said I think they split the 2 Tigers. I think they're going to split LSU and Missouri, and they'll beat Mississippi State. And so they'll finish 7-5. Now that they've lost to LSU in the way that they did, I'm really kind of wishing I hadn't said that, because now I'm pretty much saying they have to beat Missouri, which, to your point, I said preseason I was not going to pick them to beat Missouri until they go and do it. So guys, don't yell at me, but I'm wavering. I'm going back down to 1. I think they win this game this weekend. I think they beat Louisiana Tech. I definitely don't. I mean, they're not beating Texas. I feel pretty confident they're not beating Texas. I'm less confident that they're not beating Ole Miss, but I still don't think they will. I don't think Ole Miss is stupid enough to lose this game, even though they were stupid enough to lose that LSU game. I think it's a little bit different. And Missouri. Now Missouri is very beatable. I'm not saying hey, it's not. There's no way Arkansas could beat them. They absolutely could, and I think it's going to be a very close spread when that game arrives. But yeah, they just always find ways to lose there. It's an ugly field. Thanksgiving, I don't know. I never get good vibes.
My biggest thing about Ole Miss is they've just become a really good defensive football team, and given Arkansas's offensive struggles right now, I don't know if they're going to be able to score enough.
And is the fan base going to be buzzing for that game? Even if they go out there and beat Mississippi State, let's say they beat Mississippi State 31-20, just a respectable, just cover the spread win. You think the fans are going to be like, yeah, Ole Miss, let's go. I really don't think it's going to be a ruckus atmosphere at 11 a.m.
Yeah, it'll be good, but it would definitely, I think, be a drop off from the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree. It's just kind of how it goes when you have an 11 a.m. game and you're not coming off of some big momentum win. So I still think it'll be a good atmosphere, and you'll still have a good amount of people there and everything. But it's about how does the offense look, because confidence is going to be a key thing in this. And if Arkansas wins even against Mississippi State, say, I mean, what they've been scoring 17, 20 points a game in SEC play, something like that, maybe even less than that. But say if they win 17-6, I mean, that's not going to be okay, so now they can go out and totally score against Ole Miss. That's not going to be the case. But if they go out there and score 38. Like say they like really just get to cooking on the offense, and hey, Braylon Russell gets fed the ball now. And, they just start feeding him the ball like let the horse eat, as Sam Pittman said, and he runs all over the place. Then suddenly it starts to change the narrative just a little bit and get the confidence back. But yeah, I just don't. I really, really hope that they just win this one, and it can at least give some people hope, because I don't want to have this constant discussion of just coaching changes and firings and everything just next week. I mean, come on, let's get to at least November before you start having that type of deal. But yeah, I hope for 2. But let me ask you guys this, since you're saying 1, that would put Arkansas at 6-6, assuming you both have them beating Louisiana Tech as well. Mm-hmm. So success, content, fine. I mean, what's the vibe at the end of the season if you finish out 3-5 in SEC play with a 6-6 overall record?
I mean, it's probably about exactly where they should be. So I think I would be content with that. I don't know. I mean, I get it where people have higher expectations, and I'm not saying, settle for mediocrity or whatever, but just coming into this season, that's just about what people expect. Actually, they expected less than that. Most people didn't even project Arkansas to go to a bowl game or finish 500. So I don't know if it saves Sam's job or whatever, but I don't know if you get to a bowl and win 3 SEC games after a year where you were just terrible and went 4-8 and won 1. It's progress. And if they go win a bowl game, not that people care about that anymore, but I don't know how you could be super disappointed in that personally.
Yeah, I don't think anybody should be like super disappointed or even, like you said, surprised if Arkansas goes 6-6, because again, like that's right smack dab in the middle of what everyone was saying they were going to go preseason, and it's actually above what their projected win total was. John, you said a few words there. You said success. I wouldn't say that word. I wouldn't even say content, because I think fans, frankly, should hold the program to like, you shouldn't be like buzzing for 6-6 season. So I don't know if fans should be content, but I think fine is the third word you said. That's about where I think everyone should feel. I think especially just given how this year played out, if you had losses to Bama of the past and you played Georgia and you had Texas or whatever, and like you had really like lost a lot of games that like there's no shame in losing, and frankly there's no shame in losing to LSU, but the fact that you lost that Oklahoma State game is one that we would look back on and be like, damn. It's one that we said that at the time. No matter what Arkansas finishes, we're going to look back at that game and be like, you'd feel a lot better about the year overall had they won that one. But I think 6-6, especially because that would also mean you're losing again to Missouri, who is this year not a juggernaut by any means. Who knows what that bowl game looks like, but I don't think the fans would necessarily be buzzing. I agree though, Curtis said like they shouldn't be totally surprised, but I think there's a lot of people who are going to be very upset though.
I guess my other thing with this is, like, after that Missouri game last year and the way the season ended, and then they decide to retain Sam Pittman, like, what the hell were the expectations for keeping his job moving forward? You know what I mean? Like, was it really a realistic expectation to be like, listen, dude, you guys are terrible, one of the worst teams in the SEC, buddy, you better go 8-4 next year or whatever. I mean, completely revamped offensive line, new offensive coordinator, new quarterback. There's a lot going on. And then not to mention, the SEC, the gauntlet, and an extremely difficult schedule. And so it is kind of tricky to decide how you want to feel about it. I mean, if I think about how I felt after they got just their doors blown off against Missouri to end that season, and just the negativity and how down that thing was, for them to, win some more games and, get the big one against Tennessee and make a bowl and maybe win a bowl game. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but I think I'd feel okay with that.
I don't think you're crazy. And here's why. Because I think, last year we could all kind of tell in the moment, okay, this thing with Pittman is not going to be a fairy tale ending. Like, this is not going to end with Arkansas, like his tenure, whenever it may end, whether it's last year, this year, 5 years from now. It's not going to end with like anything crazy happening. I think the best case scenario that you could hope for is that when you do part ways with him, you're able to do it in a way where you're not leaving the program in shambles the way that, a Brett Bielema did, a Chad Morris did. So to your point, Curtis, I definitely think if Arkansas goes 6-6, who knows if that keeps Pittman's job? I really genuinely don't know, and I'm not even trying to do that speculation game. But I think whether it's this year or next year, you'd be in a position to make that transition and not be completely depleted. And I'm assuming that keeping the recruiting class, keeping the coordinators, all these things would become factors. But I think we can at least have the conversation if they're 6-6.
Yeah, it's not an acceptable standard, but I think given the circumstances, it'd be an acceptable season.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
And I just knowing Razorback fans though, there's not going to be any excitement. There's not going to be any energy at all. And it's just going to be it's almost like they would have to make a move anyways. Or maybe it's one of those things that Sam Pittman resigns or whatever, because if they go 6-6 and you're going to the Liberty Bowl again against whoever, it's kind of like, meh, who cares? Like, okay, you did this 2 years ago. At what point in time do you make those strides? And it also depends on how you lose those games at the end too, because if Arkansas, it's one thing, like if they go out and they go 2-2 in the final, or they only win one game in the final SEC slate, say they beat Texas. Okay, well, that's the one win. That's going to change a lot of things other than their one win being against Mississippi State. So there's just a lot of variables that go into it. But just knowing how Razorback fans will be, they'll want Sam Pittman gone because it's just about it's a trajectory, and it's also an excitement. And when you're after 5 years, there's not excitement, there's no energy. It's just kind of blah. You got to make a move because nobody's going to be. You got to have the fan base excited. You got to have them energized.
You bring up a really good point.
Yeah,
you bring up a really good point there because it's not all about progress and everything like that. It's about, to your point, excitement and ticket sales and what's going to get people through the doors and get them pumped up and get them contributing to NIL and buying the season ticket packages and all that. And yeah, you're 100% right. Like 6-6, yeah, cool. You made progress. You went to the postseason or whatever, but that's not gonna be the needle mover from that standpoint. So you're right.
Here's another factor in this conversation. And look, like, whether it's fair or not that we're even having this conversation, I think it is, just given the circumstances and because what else are we supposed to do? The rest of the SEC, some of these other coaching jobs that we thought were like surefire going to be available, like Florida, for example. We kind of thought like, okay, if you're firing your coach, you're going to be having to hire against a Florida. Doesn't look like Billy Napier is getting fired. I don't think Kentucky's going to fire Mark Stoops, although I don't know if Arkansas would be threatened by that. Is Oklahoma really going to fire? Is Oklahoma going to fire Venables? Maybe they do, and maybe they should. I don't think he's a great coach, but if that job's open, it kind of changes things a little bit. Whereas, like if Florida, that job, if the Auburn job's not open, the Oklahoma job's not open, like I think you can make a real argument, like, hey, this is the season to fire your coach, if that makes sense. Especially because, all the ones we talked about preseason, even LSU Brian Kelly was kind of floated in there. None of those jobs are going to be available. So, like, whoever the best coaching candidate in the country is, who, we can argue about that, it'll be interesting to see what the options are by the end of the season.
Well, and I'll also throw this in because I know we'll take a couple calls here, but I'll throw this in as well. If it comes to it where it could go either way, they better not hesitate to their decision at all. None of this messing around and being like, oh, well, we'll see what happens in the bowl game. Nope. You don't have time. When the season ends, that Missouri game on that Black Friday, when that final horn sounds, Hunter Yurchek and everybody better have a full-fledged, full confident decision made going forward. You better make a statement at the end of it. I don't care if it's keeping them or having them go. I do care, but I'm saying whatever your decision is, you better come out. Because if you're going through a few days with the transfer portal going crazy, the early signing period going nuts, bowl preparations, trying to keep your team together, trying to keep your coaches together, and like all that stuff going on, you can't mess around. You have to be able to have a decision made no matter what it is. Stick with it and move forward with it. Because if you delay or hesitate at all, you're going to get left behind. It's going to put you in a really bad spot, no matter what happens.
Yeah, so 100%. Urgency at this point. It's absolutely crazy how the whole calendar shakes out. I could go into a long rant about this. I'm not going to, but just the way it shakes out to where like the season is technically still ongoing for teams, playing for a bowl, but you got, signing period for high school kids. You got the transfer portal opening up for your guys to leave, for other guys to come in. All that stuff happening at once is insane. And so you're right. Like there has to be urgency regardless of what they do. Either come out and say he's our guy, or yep, we're making a move. But they got to figure it out for sure. If
I'm glad that we're on the same.
They
page.
might win 8 games. Who knows? But
they might. But I'm glad we're on the same page that the hypothetical bowl game matters zilch. Like literally not at all. Which it would be kind of funny if like they did a whole thing. They go 6-6 and like Pittman's our guy. Like we're rolling with it, and then just get waxed in the bowl game against whoever.
Yeah, with like everybody that's like left the portal, you have just a bunch of walk-ons out there and everything. Yeah, really gets people.
That I saw when I updated the bowl story on Monday, it was like against Tulane in the Birmingham Bowl.
Yeah,
Andrew, it wouldn't excite me. I'd
have a hard time not picking the wave, man. Hey, Arkansas, by the way, I just want to float. I want to get in front of this before it becomes a thing in the offseason. If Arkansas is getting a transfer quarterback, I think they should grab the kid from Tulane, redshirt freshman. Dude's a stud. I love watching him every week. Darian Mensah. I think they should go get him.
Well, let's go ahead and squeeze in this caller here that's been patiently holding before we get to some of your chats as well. It's Trey, who's in Harrison. What's up, Trey?
How you guys doing?
Doing good, man.
Good, buddy.
Yeah, I wasn't doing too well after Saturday. I was angry. But I was just wanting to point out how we were going on. I think it was like during the bye week. Arkansas has yet to complete their full season circle. And they won the game that they wasn't supposed to, which was Tennessee. And then they lost the game that they wasn't, which was Oklahoma. And then they lost and then they had the refs screw them over in a game. And also, I was just wanting to say, I don't care what Arkansas does. I'm not getting my hopes up again like I did after the Tennessee game. If they go beat Mississippi State and then Ole Miss, I'm going to say, well, they're probably going to lose to Texas and they're going to lose to Missouri, and they maybe beat Louisiana Tech. So that's what I'm going with. I got no expectations other than you better beat Mississippi State, or I want Sam out on a rail out of Fayetteville.
All right.
That's all I got to say. Hope y'all have a good day.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Trey.
That's the thing about expectations, that it's so hard. It's impossible when you're so emotionally invested into the team that you love after they win a game like Tennessee to not be like, all right, we're here, baby. We've arrived. But to his point, actually, I'm kind of on the same wavelength to where I really needed to see him do it against LSU before I fully hopped on that train. Same deal. Go beat Mississippi State. Great. I'm glad you did that. That's cool. But then if you double down and beat Ole Miss after that, then I start to feel like, okay, maybe they have turned a corner, because it goes back to the consistency thing for me week to week, man. It just has not been there. So until it is, the big picture ideas of what could be, it almost feels pointless to talk about, even though we have to talk about them. And it is fun to talk about.
And I think that's where ultimately, like, I'm sure there's a lot of fans who are like, man, I'm sick of this. Like, they want a new coach. It's hard for me to put too hard of an argument against them, because I do feel like the program's ceiling is very limited at the moment. Like, whatever you want to say, like, hey, this team's capability is their potential, they're not going to reach it. Like, they're going to lose at least one game every year that they have no business losing. They're going to do stupid things in one game every year. They're probably going to beat someone they have no business beating as well, because they even did that last year against Florida. But yeah, I think that just overall big picture, it's really hard to talk yourself into like, oh, no. It's all the pieces are going to come together and it's all going to go well next. It really is tough to play that game.
Yeah, and even given the schedule next year too, which I know we're really looking ahead, but good grief. I mean, you're talking about the same exact schedule you have this year, except flipped, where now your toughest games are going to be on the road. And then you throw in Notre Dame coming to town.
Fun.
Yeah, and then you got Memphis on the road.
He's really good.
Yeah, and then you have Arkansas State and the battle of the stupid game that finally we can just get it over with there in Little Rock. So, I mean, it could, you keep Sam Pittman like, okay. Like, best case scenario, you're going to be out there going 4-8 again if that's the case. But man, it's a scary thing. It's a scary thing to see the complacency that could come in there. Mm-hmm. Let's go to some of your chats, folks.
Some good chats today.
Yeah, there are some good chats there too. The bot magnet says, I didn't watch the last game. I knew exactly what was going to happen. My nerves can't take it anymore. Okay, well, I hate
my
that you
dad's
didn't watch
kind of that way now. My dad is like, he has high blood pressure anyway, but he's just like, he'll like check the score periodically, but he cannot watch games when the magnitude gets a little bit too big.
Well, then where's the fun if they win?
That's kind of what I've been trying to tell them for like 8 years now.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, some people are like that. Jeff says, worst thing there is facing a team that feels like they have nothing to lose but love their coach, kind of like with Mississippi State. Yeah.
That's 100% where Mississippi State's at. That makes them dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Arkansas is a team that has everything to lose, but also loves their coach.
Yeah, I do think Arkansas does love their coach, but yeah, it was a lot more fun in like year 1, year 2, where Arkansas kind of was that vibe of like, man, this team is coming from nothing.
It seems like they handle the like the chip on the shoulder underdog us against the world thing better than they do having any sort of expectations placed on their shoulders.
100%.
Mm-hmm. So a reminder of like a Houston Nut type of stuff, only not as fun because you didn't have guys like Darren McFadden or Matt Jones or anything like that. Kind of feels the same way. Herrick says, just as long as it's not at that disaster 7-3 final. Yes. Yeah, that was a real game. That was a real game that happened last year.
It was a tough experience. Tough watch.
It was.
Andrew got to miss.
Yeah.
It was 11 a.m. and everything. Yeah, that was rough. David says, do you guys think this program is trending upward? If the answer is no, how do you stay this course? It's kind of what we've been discussing.
So, okay, here's my clarification. And, it's a very fair question, 100%. My question would be, when you say upward, from where? From last year? Yeah, they've taken a minor step forward this year. From before Pittman's tenure? Yeah, they've taken a minor step forward. But if you're talking about big picture, like over the course of 3-4 years, no, they're not trending upwards.
Yeah.
And if they are, it's ever so slightly, and it's they're definitely not like getting closer and closer to competing for titles or anything like that. So ultimately, the big picture answer probably is no. So yeah, I mean these are the questions that we're going to be asking here in a few weeks.
Mm-hmm. Also, David says fire John Neighbors. Okay, I don't know what I
guess he was talking about our program, in which case I do think we're trending upwards.
Okay.
The chat went on a little fire rant. Usually that's post game, and it's bad Megan, mean Megan, who's firing everybody. But yeah, somebody, I think maybe it was Pooh Bear. Somebody fired John Calipari already. John's been fired. It's rough out here in these streets.
It's like The Apprentice. Speaking of getting political, that's what it feels like. James says, contrast Pittman with Lee at Vanderbilt. Pittman can see his team and their brains beat out and say, I think we have a good team. Clark said he realized he had to change his entire approach to win now and is beating teams above his level of competition. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, credit to Clark Lee just for the job he's done. I think people are maybe a little bit apathetic about Sam Pittman and his press conferences, and I don't know. He seemed kind of dejected to me after the LSU game, but there just wasn't you can't come out and play like that after a bye week. That's on me, and just I don't know, some ownership, some fire. I don't know.
Well, the thing is like what James is saying is the exact same thing that people were saying about the coaches that Sam Pittman beat in year 2, because Clark Lee's in year 2 at Vanderbilt, if I'm not mistaken. And
no, he's in like year 3 or 4, I think now.
Oh, is it that long? Okay, well, still. Point is like, Pittman was that guy that people were looking at when he went in that 2021 season, when 8-4. They're like, hey, they just play hard for him, and going out there and beating these other guys and these other teams that he shouldn't or whatever. It's because of this. Jimbo Fisher, they were just playing harder for him than Jimbo. I think it's all it's just about time. It's about time, and people get tired of you for being there. Like in this day and age, people just get tired of seeing the same thing over and over again, or at least maybe they want something new. They want the new toy. I mean, that's kind of what I know is a longer period of time, but it's kind of like what Kentucky went through with John Calipari. It's like they wanted something new. They got tired of it. And in football, especially 4 or 5 years for a coach, that's a long time these days. Mm-hmm. So people just get tired of it, and they want to move on and see the new shiny new toy that they can have.
Yeah, I agree with the point big picture. The only thing I would say is that Clark Lee went 2-10 last year. He went 2-10 his first year. I think they went like 5-7 his year 2, and then went back to 2-10. So yeah, at that point, it's very easy to be like, I got to change up everything. And I definitely think there's like every coach can do some self-evaluating and changing things up, but it's like it's a little bit easier to be in that let's just throw whatever we can against the wall mode when you go 2-10. Where again, like Sam Pittman, when he inherited a 2-10 team, to your point, John, he was the guy where it's like, oh wow, he changed everything.
Yep, easily. Also, this comes from XP, says, if by some miracle the Hogs reach the playoffs and play LSU under Texas A&M again, would the boot and the Southwest Classic trophy be in play, or are those only regular season games? Just wondering. Just regular season games, my man.
You can sleep well at night knowing that it is not going to be up for grabs if Arkansas somehow gets into a 64-team playoff.
Yeah, not going to happen.
David Basil might create another trophy or something, but those specific ones, maybe not.
Yeah, we don't need those again. Just leave them and just have them. Like, it's just a one year deal thing. That's it. Let's see. William says, I think 6-6 would be considered a success based off the new OC and first year scheme. I think the offense will be considerably better next year in year 2 of BMFP.
I've heard this a lot.
Yeah. I mean, because I think with you use comparisons all the time, but Petrino's offense in 08 to 09 was pretty significantly better, but granted, he also had a guy named Ryan Mallett that was playing quarterback with a lot of great wide receivers. But next year, I mean, I hate to look at it this way, but assuming Taylor Green comes back, like, you're losing Armstrong, you're losing Jaquindon Jackson. It doesn't even equate to the people who might be hitting the portal. I'm not saying they are, but if it was like a Luke Has or if someone like that, then you're going to have to go get some additions out. So there's a chance that, okay, you got Petrino, you got the quarterback back, but guys you're throwing to could be a completely new unit out there. This is the way college football is these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they better hit that portal hard, bro. Because, I mean, think about it. You're also going to lose, who are the 2 best offensive linemen they have? Carmona and Josh Braun is the guys you would look to. They're both going to be gone as well. They're going to need to completely revamp the O-line, get new receivers, get a new running back. I mean, I guess Braylon Russell, we'll see how he looks here. But, yeah, that's a good point. It's not like it's going to be you're running it back with the same group next year.
Right.
R-Dub
is just a junior, right? Is he third year?
Yeah, he's a junior.
Okay. Yeah, just making sure. Also, Bill Beebe says, apparently the Razorbacks have been selling out to the home games, so apparently they're not too worried about it.
Well, we were talking about this earlier about ticket sales, because that's obviously a massive part of a coach's job security, and Arkansas have been good at home so far this year. We'll see how it looks, the Texas game. But yeah, I mean, it's not like Arkansas is having an issue getting folks to go to the games, which puts a little less pressure on them to make a big picture change if they end up going 6-6.
Also, Stripius says, people saying Sam Pittman should save the university money and retire are clueless. I love the university, but I'm not going to give up a huge amount of money for my family, period. No.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, look, I'm not saying there's no way he retires. He doesn't retire. I'm not saying it's out of the realm, but I think that hip would have to be real bad, and he would have to really, truly be like, all right, I just don't want to do this anymore. So yeah, I don't know. He'd be leaving some money on the table. I'd make him fire me, frankly.
I could also see him too, just because of how he is, settling almost hey, give me, let's meet in the middle of what I would owe or what you would owe. Let's, settle out of court here, and I'll just ride off into the sunset. Wouldn't surprise me at all if that happened, but still, we're still far from that. And also, Hogs Smell Good says the fan base is ridiculous, as are all of them, to put the blame on Pittman for fumbles, interceptions, and then want BFP, who is the actual coach of the players, making those mistakes seems disingenuous. Okay.
I will say, and I'll just go ahead and be real about this. Anybody who's campaigning for them to fire Pittman and then make Bobby Petrino the long-term head coach is off that straight crystal meth crack pipe.
It's not happening.
No, it's not happening. I don't think anybody, including Bobby Petrino, wants it to happen. But I think if you read our chats, every now and then there's a little bit just make him the head coach. The guy who's got the worst offense in the SEC, make him the head coach.
Well, I want to kind of make a point to that too. When it always gets thrown around when you come off of a loss, it's Pittman, the coaches, buck stops with them, and especially with Pittman because he's the head guy and all that. But I do think that sometimes, and I'm guilty of this at times, start just pointing the fingers to the coach, it's bad. Well, it's okay, well, some of the things though, like some fumbles or whatever, yeah, that needs to go on to the players. It's
sure
this game against LSU, you lost. It's 34-10, so it wasn't one single play, but yeah, having that bad fumble by DeBinion there in that game, and some of the mistakes on penalties and things like that. Yes, the players do deserve some of the blame too. So But again, it's just when you look at the grand scheme of things in the overall program, that comes on the coach. And that's why he's kind of the first to get the criticism thrown his way.
Yep.
Well, like I think also that's if you're making a case for bringing it all back, bringing back the same coaching staff next year, the case would be, well, maybe they can get some talent upgrades on the offensive line, defensive line. And who knows if that's a realistic thing or not. But I think that would be where you would start is the Jimmies and Joes.
And then also got to shout out to Whitty for a super chat sponsored chat here. Says we lose Jackson to a weak ankle every other play, so he doesn't matter.
Okay, so Broden makes some catches, and then you just move on to the next guy. I see.
Mm-hmm.
Whitty now loves Broden. That's really what it is. He was impressed.
It was hilarious to me. And Andrew, I think we both sent similar tweets when that review on Broden's catch, and I was just like, questioning that man's hands is wild behavior. And so many people were like, okay, Curtis, he's had a nice game, but for the season, come on, bro. Really, what football have you been watching? I'm like, it's satire, guys.
People take life way too seriously. It's crazy.
Yeah, come on.
If you can't laugh at the irony of Broden randomly developing good hands, then we're just not going to connect on any level.
Yeah, you got to have some fun in moments like these.
Yeah, moments of levity. You got to find something in it, and then to be able to have some of it too. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump into a little bit of buy or sells presented by BetSaracen and the BetSaracen app. It's the only sports betting app you need here in the state of Arkansas. No other app even holds any sort of water and even comes close when it comes to the easiness of use, as well as the best way to win some money in all different sports, especially here in the state of Arkansas. It's the BetSaracen app. You can download it on your Apple store, or you can also download it on your Android store. You can visit BetSaracen.com to start winning bid with the BetSaracen app. All right, so a little bit of buy or sell action here. How about this? Buy or sell that Arkansas will score more points against Mississippi State than any other SEC team this season.
So they will score more points against Mississippi State than they will against any other? Or okay.
That's better worded, yes.
God, I hope so. Yeah.
I think I buy that, right?
Yeah, I think so.
What's the current high? 17?
24.
Who they score 24 against? Oh, Auburn. That's right. Yeah, they'll score more than 24, and then Missouri, they probably won't score more. Yeah. I mean, if they score 30, I don't think they're scoring 30 at Missouri.
Man, I think here's the thing: is I want to say yes, I really do, but then I just always have this feeling that some weird game is going to happen where they just end up getting a bunch of points in garbage time or something like that. But I'm going to go. I'll go ahead and buy it. I'll go ahead and buy it.
All right,
I
think
that they will.
Does have one of those games every other year or so where like they lose somewhat impressively, where they score a few touchdowns late, and it's like, I mean, they scored like 30 on Bama a couple years ago.
Well, yeah, last year they scored 31 on LSU down there in Baton Rouge.
Right. Yeah, and those kind of one-offs can happen. And then it doesn't necessarily have to require just like a crazy offensive breakout. Like they could get a pick six or a special teams play, a fumble that gives them a short field, like just anything easy like that, a couple breaks and you get a couple touchdowns that maybe you would normally get, and then you're up there. But yeah, Mississippi State's defense is buddy, it ain't good. So yeah, I'll buy this one.
I'm still buying that because I think they could score 40 this weekend, realistically.
Wouldn't that be nice? I just think it'd be nice to see, like just nice to see an offensive game that's like, oh man, that was a fun play. Like other than I know they scored a bit, not a bit, but 31 right against Oklahoma State. It's like, that was nice and had nice moments. But other than UAPB at the beginning of the year where there was just points galore, I feel like there hasn't really been any of those types of games. So it'd be nice just to see it for a change.
I've got to credit. Who did I hear say this? I think it was Matt Jones actually over at Whole Hog Sports. He said that Petrino's first year at Arkansas previously, the offense never scored more than 4 touchdowns in an SEC game.
That would make sense, yeah.
And that's interesting. And then I translate that to now and some of the struggles. And it's not a Bobby Petrino exclusive thing. And offenses are better in year 2 than they are year 1 under a coordinator. But I don't guess I realized that it was I don't want to say that bad, but they didn't have more success than they did.
Yeah. They did score 31 in that last game of the year though against LSU.
That's right. Miracle on Markham, part 2, helped out with that. But no, I think that is something that's valid. I guess the only other difference I'd look at is at least at the end of that year, you had like nothing but a bunch of freshmen that really felt good about the next year coming in. And it's like, But the portal though changes everything. Like that's what makes it so different. It's like the portal, you can get a whole new team in here, new skill positions, and boom, it gets going. So
not a bunch of young cats doing it on Arkansas's offense right now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Ryan Mount was the original transfer portal guy, from Michigan. So
he actually had to sit out back in the old days when we did that.
Back when people just couldn't transfer and be immediately eligible. All right, buy or sell that Patrick Kudus will play at least 50% of the snaps this weekend.
Sell.
Hard sell.
I think a pretty hard sell. I think. Ask me that again before this Ole Miss game, and my answer will be different, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, like, at this point, they're clearly only going to play him in 4 games. So the real question is this going to be one of the 4 games? And I think they'll just give him another week to get into shape. I mean, hell, he's listed as number 2 on the depth chart, and we know the depth chart would never lie.
It kind of strikes me as the plan would probably be not to go that route in this game, but if Blackstock's getting blown up and you're in a situation to where you're on the ropes against Mississippi freaking State in a do or die game, they might have to consider making a move there.
He'll be in street clothes against Louisiana Tech. That'd be so funny.
Oh boy.
I would actually would anybody really argue the move if they did that? Like if they played him against Mississippi State and then they didn't play him against Louisiana Tech, I'd be like, you know what? Fair.
No, because sure. I mean, I'd be in favor because if I'm looking at Sam Pittman, I'm like, hey man, this is do or die for me. There is no tomorrow. So I gotta go. I gotta roll out with the best guys I got, and be damned their red shirt year. I don't care. I'm not gonna be here next year anyways.
If they lost by 2 to Mississippi State, and he went to that press conference and was like, well, we wanted to save Kudus. We're gonna get you back next week. So that would be tough.
It's gonna be good for us to get Coot back in there.
I don't like you say it because I feel like I can hear it in my sleep. Okay, buy or sell that Jalen Braxton will not play again for this season for the Hogs.
I might be buying that at this point.
I think I'm buying it as well. I mean, I won't be surprised if he comes back and plays a couple games. Now he's played in 2, we believe.
Yes.
So that would mean that really this. I mean, they said if it's happening, it's going to be after the second bye week, which would be Texas, Louisiana Tech, Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
I think you maybe can get him back for that Louisiana Tech game and then against Missouri and then whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a coin flip at this point. I really do. So I think this is actually good job, John.
Yeah, couple thoughts on that for me. One, if Pittman is a man of his word, then Braxton is actually still hurt. And it's not a Kudus situation to where it's, he's only got this many games left, so we'll get him in there. But he's just speculating. And if he's saying, best case, we could have him back after that bye. Well, given his track record for predicting timelines, that's probably false, first of all. And then second of all, it also depends on where you're at in the season. Is it worth it? What's the point? If he's missed 10 weeks, do you get him back in there? Is it worth it? Or you just shut him down based on where you're at in the season? But yeah, I am buying that he will not play again this year.
You sold me. I'm buying it as well. It's just not Larry worth it.
And you got Hudson Clark at corner now, so you're fine.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're good. They're good over there on the boundary.
Yeah, they're set.
I'm actually selling it. I think he plays again.
I hope he does. I really do hope he does.
Yeah.
I think he's going to make his grand entrance back for Texas because Arkansas is going to win these next 2, and they're going to need him.
There we go.
Yeah, consistency. That's what I'm going for.
There we go.
Buy or sell that Braylon Russell will be the leading rusher against Mississippi State this weekend.
Sell.
I'm buying this one only because I don't think Jaquinton Jackson is going to play at all. Just kind of based on the way that Sam Pittman was acting, said he's very questionable. We'll see what the injury report looks like tomorrow. So if Jaquinton Jackson's actually out for the game, I don't know. Taylor Green might be the leading rusher though.
That's my thought. It's time.
I know where you're going.
It's time,
but
bro.
I do really think Braylon Russell is going to get the start at running back if assuming Jackson's out. I think he's going to get 12 to 15 carries, and we'll see what he can do with them.
So if you feel like it's not going to be Braylon Russell, you feel like it will for sure be Taylor Green?
That's where I'm at.
Okay.
I think I'm probably there too. And I'm not going to rule out R-Dub for breaking off a big run.
Yeah, it's a good thing you mentioned that because, boy, the comments have been thick with people telling us that R-Dub is better than Braylon
I've
Russell.
always thought that I had a higher opinion of R-Dub than everyone else. I learned yesterday that R-Dub has a fan base that
We're
is
getting heated, man.
loud and proud. Jeez, they were like, I mean, R-Dub, of course he's playing. He's the best running back we've ever had. I was like, shit, all right.
Yeah. It's like people are get stuck there, and I'm not saying anything bad about R-Dub, but I
like R-Dub.
Just going off of what's happened this year, Braylon Russell seems to be the better pick.
Fresh out the doghouse too. So where it's like, even if you thought R-Dub was like maybe the better back, he's older and maybe in the doghouse. I think they're going to go with Russell.
Yeah. And finally, this little basketball mix here. Buy or sell that Bud Walton will have 20,000 people there for the Kansas game and exhibition on Friday.
I'll buy it.
Yeah.
They're camping out for it.
That's crazy.
Camping out, and I mean, it's been sold out for weeks.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be a madhouse too. And I mean, the first game, whether it's real or not, with John Calipari as your head coach, it's #1 Kansas. People remember what that Purdue exhibition was like, and the rest of the home schedule sucks until you get to January. Honestly, until you get to February 8th against Alabama. So, I think it's going to be nuts in there.
Do we remember I don't know if we get numbers for this because they always just put 19-2 for everything. But do we know how many people were there at Purdue last year?
I mean, I think that it was, I don't know if it was 20,000, but it was packed. Like, I don't remember any empty seats really, except for maybe a few here and there. But I mean, listen, if you had that for Purdue, you're getting this for John Calipari in Kansas. Like, come on. It's a perfect setup. And I'm just gonna be honest, guys, I love that it's a Friday night. So that way, like, Saturday's still open for college football watching and everything. Because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the Purdue game last year was during the bye week on a Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
I like it from a fan perspective, from a work perspective. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. An 8 p.m. Friday night game followed by an 11:45 football game the next morning. That's not a lot of fun. But you know what? At least it's over midday Saturday, and then you can just chill the rest of the weekend. Be good.
Yeah. No, that's true. And I still think that no matter what, there's going to be people that be like, oh, I wish I could go, but high school football or whatever is happening tonight, so I won't be able to make it. So.
I've heard a decent amount of people I've seen on social media, or some buddies have been texting me who are like, man, I don't know about this because, I paid money to go to Hot Springs or Pine Bluff and they were just doing practice drills. And now Calipari's talking about running zone and doing situational stuff with Bill Self. I want to go see a game. They're going to play a game. Like, there might be a stretch, like in between media timeouts or something where, Cal and Bill Self go talk to each other. And it's like, yo, you just want to do zone for a segment here while we play this game. That could happen. Maybe they'll finish the game and then they do some, last 2 minutes down 6 scenarios or whatever. That could happen, but they're going to play a game.
Are they going to rotate more than Muss did against Rogers State that one year when he played like a 7-man rotation?
They might not have that many dudes dressed out. I remember when, because that Rogers, I think it was the Rogers State game when Jalen Williams, he's just having like back spasms or whatever, and he set out. But it's a deal where Trey Wade had been in a knee brace and out for like 4 weeks, and he returned to practice on a Friday. And then that Saturday, he played like 31 minutes in that scrimmage because they just didn't have anybody else. It could be like that. I don't know.
Well, I know people are going to be there. They're going to be, going crazy with it too. But yeah, that's what I'm concerned about. Is just like, who are we going to see out there? And what is it even going to look like?
I imagine we'll get Cal probably tomorrow or maybe Thursday to preview it. And I would think for an exhibition, he might be a little bit more forthcoming on who's going to play and who's not, although he probably also wants to sell tickets. But I think Jonas Adu is the one that I really wonder about. I'm not sure about the arrow, but I feel like John L. Davis, he got the brace or whatever off of his wrist. It just feels like he would probably be able to play, but I don't know. But if all three of those guys are out, they might get smacked up.
Did we get an update on Dickinson? If we do we have any idea on him?
Or he's day to day with an ankle sprain. So
hold him out. Relax.
If Adu doesn't play and they don't play Dickinson, then I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
although I would like to see Big Z and get humbled a little bit by Dickinson, but just see the progress he's made. Little things like that I would appreciate. But I might not appreciate
Curtis. I ain't looking to test the lads. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to get excited. Okay.
Well, it'll be exciting. It's at 8 p.m. And by the way, somebody asked in the chat, is it going to be? It's going to be on SEC Network Plus, right?
I think it's on SEC Network. I might be wrong about that.
No, it probably is because, unlike other schools in the SEC, they don't put them on the Plus when Cal's the coach. They're going to have this one, and if they don't, it's a shame.
That's one of the best things you can put on TV these days.
Yeah, it is on the network.
Okay, so the SEC Network it'll be on. So
there'll be a lot of Arkansas on SEC Network this weekend.
Yeah, I love that. Well, that is part of our Arkansas update, sponsored by Davis & Garrett Insurance, your independent auto owners insurance agency, securing what matters the most. Go see my boy Clayton over there. But speaking of game times, I was going to mention this yesterday, but I love this because the Ole Miss game is going to be either at 11 a.m. or 11:45 for Arkansas football. So good.
Did you like the tweet they sent out of the football account? They were like, "We will play before noon on TV."
Yep,
like that.
I mean, that's pretty much it because it could be on ABC or ESPN or SEC Network.
Now, see, I'm low key hoping for an 11:45 for that one because the TCU exhibition the night before in Fort Worth is at 7 p.m. I want to get back home before that kickoff the next day. So we'll see.
I just want more time to tailgate, but yes, that too. Yeah, you need that.
Dude, I might drive from Dallas
like 5 and a half.
What if crack of dawn, wake up, and then get back by before noon for the game?
I'm working on talking Andrew into coming with me, but here's my thought: we finish the TCU exhibition Friday night, do what we got to do, drive back through the night to Fayetteville, and then just pull up at the tailgate. It'll be about the right time, and just marathon it.
So the tailgate will start at first light. So
we'll see how the post game goes after the Ole Miss game. But
I don't know. We'll discuss. But
we're not that young anymore.
It could get weird. It could get very weird and very there's no telling the type of things that would be said. But still, it's at least nice that we have somewhat of a time in channel for that. But we'll have to wait and see. Also, in some other news, Arkansas football got a big commitment today. Well. Big is just depending on he's a good big guy, but it was Gavin Garrettson. He is an edge rusher, 6'7", 240 pounds from Pleasant Valley, Chico, California. He's a 3-star player. He's the 109th edge rusher in the country, as well as the 121st place player there in California. He committed to Arkansas over San Diego State, Cal Poly, California, and Eastern Washington. So there you have it.
Heavy hitters.
I also 2025 kid or.
Yes, he's from 2025.
Okay.
I guess it'll be the last kid for this class, right? Was it a 24th commit?
Double check that. And also, by the way, he's considered an edge, but he's also going to play tight end because Morgan Turner is the one that's
okay, I saw this. Yeah, I saw tight end earlier this morning. I was like, oh, he's an edge guy, but one of the either.
I think he's listed on 24/7 as a edge guy, but yeah, I think he's a tight end. I think he's playing. He's being recruited by Arkansas as a tight end at least.
Correct. And as far as the number of commitments, Arkansas has 23 hard commitments for the 2025 class. So
that's probably smart because I think Sam has said he wants to pretty much always have 20 to 21, and you'll have a couple guys who might bail out late or you pick one up afterwards, whatever. So it's a good number right now.
Anytime you can get one of the 125 best players in the state of California, you got to do it. You got to do it.
Got to pull the trigger there.
What was that offer list again?
Cal Poly was one of them. San Diego State, California, Cal, and Eastern Washington. I didn't know Cal Poly had a team. I thought they just
baseball. That's all I knew. But
I'd say that and like beach volleyball. I thought that was the only thing that they did, but apparently they have got more of it. So, but yeah, Arkansas where it ranks right now is 29th in the country in the recruiting class for 2025, which
it's about right.
Yeah, it's about right. It's about where they always end up there too. So, also the preseason All-Americans came out for basketball, which I love this. Arkansas is actually going to have at least a chance to face off against 3 of them this season, one of them being this weekend, possibly, because Hunter Dickinson is one of them, as well as Mark Sears from Alabama and Janai Broome from Auburn. And the other 3 are Caleb Love from Arizona, R.J. Davis at North Carolina, and Cooper Flagg from Duke. So
fair enough. I'm disappointed in Janai Broome, man.
Why?
Well, he was all SEC last year. So was Jonas Adu. They were the 2 all SEC bigs this year. So I asked him at media day about, what do you think about the battles with Adu, man? You guys are both all SEC guys. face each other multiple years. You get to see him again. And he was just like, "Yeah, good player. Looking forward to it." Like, all right.
I tell you, I mean, they really don't like some players do. Like if they actually know the guy, but if it's just like someone they play against, they're like, "Oh, he could die for all I care."
Nobody that I talked to at SEC Media Day cared about anyone I asked him about, except every single dude there that I asked about DJ Wagner gave me a great response. And it was either, no, like played him in high school. We had these battles, or no, I remember him, man. He was locking us up. Or every one of them was big time on DJ Wagner. But if I asked about anybody else, they were like, yeah, whatever. They play basketball.
Anybody who's like a 5-star, it lasts them, even if they like really suck. Like it can last them for a while where like everyone just knows them. It's like, oh yeah, Imani Bates literally got drafted off of it.
True.
Like literally.
Yeah. And Janai Broom's still that guy that I feel like has been there forever. Like, and I don't even know if he has or not, but
where did he start his career at? Because it wasn't Auburn. Moorhead, that's right.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, Hunter Dickinson's still kind of the same way. I remember when I had it in my heart of hearts, I felt like Arkansas may have had a chance of getting him. But
they almost got him on a visit.
Yep.
Almost did.
Would have done that. It would have been interesting to see how that would have gone down last season.
Mm-hmm.
If they would have got either him or Grant Nilsson, is Eric Musselman still here?
No.
Probably. Well, if USC would open, he would have left anyway. But if Cal was at Arkansas a year earlier, would they have gotten Hunter Dickinson?
Yes.
I think they might have.
Yeah, they would have been feeding
got
that boy.
Him and old boy, and who's the Alabama kid I just referenced? Nelson.
Grant Nelson.
We got them both.
Because I remember when Dickinson was in the portal and Cal started recruiting him, and he was Dickinson was doing the what's that damn podcast with the Barstool dudes? Or
the bench off the bench.
It no longer exists. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, well, yeah, Marty Mush or whatever. Anyway,
yeah.
And he was like, "No, like I talked to Cal, and pretty much if I come there, like they ain't letting Sheway come back." I was like, "Oh wow." So
shot.
After him.
Now here's the real question. We're getting into it now. Cal would have got Ron Holland to Arkansas, wouldn't he?
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, he probably would have.
Cal would have won a national championship at Arkansas last year. Let's just go ahead and say it. Like he would have.
I think Arkansas would be going on a 3-peat right now if Cal.
So much chicken from Tyson would have been fed to them guys. And
hey, by the way,
give it all.
This reminds me now, since we're talking Arkansas basketball, Carter Knox. Y'all remember that day when he changed his Instagram bio to Chicken Man?
Yeah,
we thought that was a reference to Tyson chicken. It was not. Turns out the guy just loves chicken, and specifically McDonald's chicken. But he was upset that they didn't have it the other day. But like, I thought it was kind of funny because like I never really thought about it. I didn't think too much deeply in it. I just enjoyed in having it in my head that he was referencing Tyson chicken.
Mm-hmm.
He just likes chicken.
The next time we get him in a press conference, I'm going to ask him if he's had that chicken Big Mac yet.
Oh, he has.
Mm-hmm.
I remember laughing about it because it seemed like it was so on the nose and so like I was giving him so much props because I'm like, dude, that's creative. But yeah, then when it ended up not even being the case, I was like,
no.
Curtis, did you watch that day in the live video, like the full thing? I didn't watch it. Is it good?
It's good. Yeah, it's worth a watch.
I'm gonna give it a spin.
Oh, well, there you have it. There's your Arkansas update presented by Davis and Garrett Insurance, your independent auto owners insurance agency, securing what matters the most. A few other things of note. I know we'll have some chats for we got just a few minutes here left on the show. I wanted to bring up this story, guys, because it does kind of make me laugh, but it's not funny, but it is kind of making me laugh. So I don't know if anyone saw the big drama yesterday with Quinn Ewers, the Texas quarterback.
Oh, I saw it. All right.
But it was, for some reason, people had it in their minds that he was going to opt out of the college football season and get ready for the NFL. Well, one of the reasons why is probably because 24/7 Sports tweeted or put on their Instagram that exact graphic to your left. That breaking news. Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers will sit out the rest of the season to prepare for the NFL draft. Everyone's like, holy crap, that's wild. But then he comes out and denies it and denies it and denies it. It's like, oh, it's not happening. And then you got here from, I guess, Horns 24/7 from one of the staff where he said, to answer the thread title, yes, the 24/7 Sports Instagram page was hacked and the security team is involved. The Horns 24/7 team was just notified. A bad actor continues to target 24/7 social media. Paramount has elevated this matter to the security team.
bad actor.
It's just crazy that the guy who hacked the account also had access to the 24/7 Sports graphics that look exactly like everything.
We got to stop this, man.
That's cap, dude. That's just straight cap. Like
we have got we have got to stop with any time someone tweets out something stupid, something wrong, or even accidentally posts something, which does happen. Stop saying you were hacked. You were not hacked. Like, no, who is buying that? Be like, man, yeah, that's because when I think of someone being hacked, I think of, tweeting out cryptocurrency stuff or, tweeting out like,
fives.
Yeah. Or just like really horrendous, awful, horrible things that that person would never say. Like, that's what I see as hacking. But going in and being like, oh, man, Charlie, we just hacked the mainframe here at 24/7 Sports. What are we going to do? Oh, dude, go in there. Dude, they got a graphic. Holy crap, Quinn Ewers might be going. Dude, let's put it on their Instagram story right now. Oh, dude, you're genius. Boom.
That's what I'm like
thinking about being in you remember those Slack chats, like with all the 24/7 people that we used to have to be in? I don't know if Trey made you get in those or not, but there's like a big Slack group message where it's like if breaking news comes, like who's got it on the national desk, people just kind of communicate in there and help each other out. I bet that was a show. I bet it was a mess.
And look, like I understand, like someone, we could get in Canva right now and cook up a graphic or whatever, but like I just have a hard time believing that some random hacker was like, "Let me do this. This will be funny." Like, I don't know, man. It's just, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, because again, I would like to think that somebody who is smart enough and technologically sound enough to do something like that probably has a thought process of, if I do that, this is what I'm going to do. And it can benefit me in some capacity.
Right.
Or just really cause an entire world to shut down. But instead, it's like, oh no, I have the entire 24/7 sports world at my disposal. I'm going to tweet out a graphic that was already made saying that Quinn Ewers is opting out of the NFL, and then watch the world crumble. It's like, okay, it's just not happening. But we got to stop with this hacking crap, dude. Like, it's not a thing.
Shannon Sharp also got hacked. I hope they can find that guy.
Dude.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's the same one.
Search is still on.
We're all looking for I love how the staffer was like, which, by the way, like if it was someone that 24/7 that posted that incorrectly, it probably was someone from Texas. He's like, yeah, Paramount Plus has got their security team.
We've elevated this to Paramount security.
Yeah. It's just threat level orange that we have.
I will not rest until I find the killer. Could be walking among us.
Dude, still one of my favorite moments of someone claiming they got hacked is Jay Williams from ESPN. That's still my favorite one, where he tweeted out that Ime Udoka was the first African-American coach to be hired by the Celtics, and then they had hired multiple ones before. And then he comes out and he says, "Oh, so I was hacked." I'm like, "Yep, that's what hackers do. They tweet out misinformation and something specifically like that." Come on, man. It's just
and they use it in your exact font, the same way you type and everything. That's how they do it.
That's come on, just own up to it. Just own up to it. It happens. Like, sometimes you just tweet out dumb stuff. Just be like, "Hey, I was wrong." Or, if that graphic got posted accidentally, just be like, "We made a mistake. We had it set just in case that happened, because we have been hearing rumblings, but we want to make sure we're on top of it in case it did." It just, to say you're hacked, and that the what did he call the person again? The bad actor.
Bad actor. Yeah.
Shut up.
But that's also, that graphic was definitely made in advance. I mean, breaking news behind the curtain of journalism. You have things just in case pre-written. Like, I had a story pre-written yesterday that's still sitting in our drafts about Jalen Braxton being out for the year because he was removed for the depth chart, and we knew we would get an update, and that was on the table as a possibility. Didn't get posted. Like, we write a bunch of stuff that winds up not getting posted, but you got to be prepared. You got to be out in front of it. So graphics are made, commitment stories are written in advance. All that stuff happens.
Still to this day, I have a Jaden Johnson transfer portal shell.
Oh yeah.
I haven't worked at 24/7 in a minute, but I had one ready because I thought he was transferring after that Missouri game back in 2022, and I wrote it then. So if Jaden Johnson ever transfers, Inside Arkansas is going to have a story up within 8 seconds.
I still have a tweet in my drafts on my Twitter about Ron Holland committing or signing. So
I can't tell you how many times I wrote that story and updated it and had it ready, and up until the morning of, actually. So,
yeah, I probably, if it was still a thing, I probably still have the same thing with Dorial Green Beckham when he was going to sign with Arkansas. Probably still would have that. But a few other things real quick. You think CBS is kicking themselves for not re-signing with the SEC? You think that they're, saying, man, we made a mistake? Because as of right now, the top 10 games of college football this season so far, of all 10 of them, 8 of them have been SEC games on the ABC, ESPN networks.
wow.
The highest rated CBS game is 12th from the Big Ten. And people forget that this was not the SEC saying no to CBS. CBS said no to the SEC. And I just saw that. I'm like, man, that sucks.
Do you have like the list of the actual games, like which non-SEC games were in the top 10?
Yeah. So number 4 was Ohio State and Oregon on NBC.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And then so technically this one was an SEC game, but it was on Fox and it was Texas, Michigan.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
So that was number 5. But the number 1 was Georgia, Texas this past weekend.
Yeah.
Georgia, Alabama, and then Bama, Tennessee was 1, 2, 3. And then number 6 was USC, LSU. Number 7 was Notre Dame, A&M. Number 8 was Texas, Oklahoma. Number 9 was Clemson, Georgia. And number 10 was Georgia and Kentucky, which I thought was weird. Georgia, Kentucky is number 10 on that list.
Georgia,
I guess they were almost got beat.
Georgia, their fan base is just crushing.
That's crazy, bro.
But here's what CBS really goofed, though. The fact that, because the ABC games are on the ESPN app, right? So, like, once those games moved over, a lot of fans probably just keep their TV on the ESPN app and go back and forth. And, like, for instance, me personally, if it's on ESPN or Fox, if it's on another network, I'm probably not watching it. Peacock is actually not that hard to get to, so I watch some of those NBC games. But, like, there's a lot of CBS games that I just don't watch because I'm like, I'm not about to, like, cast on my phone and find a thing and, do that. So it's like I think there's a lot of people that now that it's all under the ESPN umbrella are just never leaving the ESPN app. And so now that it's that simple, people are never going to think about CBS, on college football Saturdays again.
Yeah.
I don't even know what games CBS has had on. I guess they've had Big Ten games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Their biggest.
I cannot think of, I watch college football every single weekend and I invest hundreds of dollars every single weekend. I have not watched CBS college football yet this season.
The highest ranked game that was on CBS was at 12th was USC at Michigan. So that was the highest rated game there on CBS. So yeah, so it says the first time since 1996 that a single network aired 2 regular season games reaching 10 million viewers on the same day. So there's also that to consider. So ESPN, Disney, they're making money.
Mickey Mouse gets richer.
Yeah, good, because they've been struggling. They've been going through it and financially and ruin. So but CBS, you've ruined it, man. You've ruined it. It was been bad. You still miss the CBS theme. It's not the same at 2:30.
Rough week for CBS because they're 24/7 sports as well.
Oh, that's right. Aren't they?
Oh yeah.
It's been a rough few days.
Gosh, man.
Is it Yahoo that's like rivals?
Yeah.
Okay. And is On3 powered by anything, or is it just itself?
Starlink.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe so. Somebody's going to get on Starlink, at least they better be. So, also, real quick, the final point before we get out of here, because actually there will be a couple chats that I want to bring up. That Matthew McConaughey wants fans to stop throwing things on the field at Texas.
Thanks. All right.
Just wanted to let you know. I didn't want to forget, sorry about this Razorback recap, but sponsored chat, we appreciate it. Says it's sad that I put Broden as a player to have a breakout game against Mississippi State.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's sad, honestly. I mean, you got to think about breakout candidates. It means somebody who hasn't broken out, and we're in the 8th game of the season, and he has not done that unless we want to count 3 for 24 or whatever he had last weekend.
It's progress.
Touchdown, anytime touchdown, Tyrone Broden. If he's going to get one against this Mississippi State secondary,
yeah, I'd take that.
I might actually bet at Tyrone Broden anytime touchdown.
Yeah, there we go.
I would absolutely.
It'd be like plus 750 or something like that.
Exactly.
Finch says just now hopping on working today. Anyway, how we feel about the staff as a whole if we had a year or two out of it. Kind of talked about that earlier, Finch, but we feel I don't know. It depends on how they finish the season. That's how we'll have to wait and see how that goes.
We don't know what we feel.
Yeah.
Right. I feel okay about I mean, obviously I really like Travis Williams. I think if Arkansas can get him back for another year, which hopefully they're able to pony up and make that happen, I would feel very good about that, especially because it's not like Arkansas has they're oozing with talent on the defensive end. So you'd like to think in the offseason they probably would be able to recruit some guys because after year one, I understand Arkansas coming off 4-8, why there might have been some hesitation for some of those transfer guys. Offensively, I'd have to see what they get, but yeah, I'd feel pretty good about it.
And then Finch says, buy or sell, Ellis can knock down more free throws than Curtis.
I don't know if I can do that anymore. Maybe in my prime, but I don't know. Every time I pick up a basketball, I feel like I haven't picked one up ever. And that's like I have to relearn the depth perception and everything. I don't shoot consistently enough.
What about threes?
I don't know, man. I would feel even worse about that. I would feel better about the free throws because I feel like there was a point in my life where I was pretty solid at that, where I could kind of, once I get the rhythm, you give me a few minutes to warm up. But threes, I think you'd probably take me.
I got a highest team free throw percentage plaque as a senior in high school.
Did you ever get the thing where y'all are running suicides and the coach calls up players to shoot a free throw? If they make the free throw, you're done running or whatever.
Yeah.
I sank one of those free throws and it was the best day of my life.
That feels good, man. Feels real good.
Everyone's your best friend on the team and they love you. You're the team captain that day.
God, I used to hate if people would miss it. I would literally
yell at them the whole time you're running. The suicide afterwards. Yeah.
I got to ask you guys
on
real
the other end where the coach can't hear.
I got to ask you though, since we're on topic, if you're shooting threes, where on the 3-point line y'all going? Straight ahead, going to the corner. If you got to shoot a three, where are you going to hit it?
Corner.
I'm a right corner guy.
Right corner.
Lefty from the right corner. Yeah.
I don't think it matters for me.
Or top of the key.
Okay.
Definitely better top of the key, right corner, wings.
Yeah. It wouldn't matter for me, but I think if I had to do one, it'd be slightly off the top of the key.
There you go.
The wings are so tough, man. There's just too much to look at. The angle, it's just, but yeah, top of the key or corners, my brain can kind of lock in on that.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite things when I was in high school, seeing a coach from the opposing team make an excuse because he said that the reason his team didn't hit threes is because of the arena and how it kept going back. And it was different from what they see instead of just being a wall.
Oh, my
God.
depth perception.
Yeah.
No, that's valid. I'm telling you, it's valid.
It's I was like, okay, but what about earlier that year when you played the same team, or the last year when you played the same team? What happened there? So I don't buy into that, but yeah, those are whatever excuses got to get made. So, all right, any final thoughts, guys, before we wrap it up and get out of here?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, good.
I think I'm good. I said all I needed to say.
Yeah. All right, that's the main reason I asked, folks. By the way, everyone's like, why do you keep asking? They keep saying no. It's because I know the one time I don't ask, they're gonna be like, wait, hold on a second, I want to say something here.
Every now and then I do have something, and I feel like Fridays I'm more likely to have something.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's the truth. That's truth. Well, either way, hey, we appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching into Inside Arkansas Live. Be sure to subscribe to us here on the YouTube page, and just hit that like button as well as on the video. The algorithm really likes it, so you better check it out. You can also see our website with all the greatest and latest up-to-date information on all things Razorbacks when it comes to the content side of things, and that's at InsideArkansas.com. You can also follow us on social media at Inside Arkansas. So that'll do it for us today. For Andrew Ellis as well as Curtis Wilkerson, I am John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel. Tomorrow afternoon, have a great rest of your day, everybody, and we'll see you then.